Happy Halloween, scientists! Welcome back to Room 9, our region's largest classroom. My name is Mrs. Stobbs, and I teach kindergarten in the Maplewood-Richmond Heights School District right here in St. Louis. And today, I will be teaching a science lesson for kindergartners and for preschoolers, but of course, learners of all ages are welcome to join us. So let's have fun on this spooky day before Halloween. All right. Well, my friends, over the past few weeks, we have learned a lot about living things. Do you remember what living things need? They need food, water, air, and shelter. And what are some examples of living things? People are living things. Animals, like a giraffe, are living things. And also, plants are living things too. Do you remember these from a few weeks ago? They're getting even taller. And my friends, last week we learned a lot about habitats. We learned that habitats are places where plants and animals live. And we also learned that plants and animals get what they need to survive from their habitats. So different habitats have different types of plants and animals that live there. Did you, over this past week, observe the habitat around you? Did you go out into your neighborhood and look for the plants and animals that live in your habitat? I hope you did. Or maybe you decided to research another habitat that you don't live by. So maybe you researched an ocean habitat or the Arctic habitat, or maybe even a rainforest habitat to learn about all the cool plants and animals that live there. Either way, you were thinking like a scientist, and I hope that you practiced thinking like a scientist this week. All right, well, my friends, this week, we are going to talk about a little bit more about living things and why living things are so important. Now, we know that plants and animals are really cool, right? They are amazing. But did you know that they're also important to us? They are. They're very, very important to us. Now, I have a living thing sitting right next to me. He was making a little bit of noise earlier. And I have my dog, Oliver. He is a living thing, right? He needs food, water, air. He needs shelter. And he moves and grows on his own. And he is a very special living thing to me. Why do you think he's a special living thing to me? Well, because he gives me love. He gives me snuggles. He makes me feel better whenever I'm feeling sad. He's also a very funny puppy. And he does lots of silly things that make me laugh. And you know what? My day is just better because he's in it. And I'm an important living thing to him because, again, I give him love and snuggles. I play with him. I also give him the food that he needs, and I give him toys, and I take care of him. So we are both important to each other. Right, Oliver? Right, Oliver? Are we important to each other? He says yes, even though he's being a little shy right now. So my friends, pets are very important living things. Do you have an important living thing at your house? Maybe another pet like my buddy Oliver here. I'm going to put him back over in his little chair. He has a little chair over here that he's just going to sit in. But did you know that plants and animals are also important to us in other ways? Did you know that plants and animals give us things that we need? They do. Now, let's think about what we need to survive. We need water. We need air. Oh, wait a minute. Do plants give us some air? Plants do help clean up the air. We're going to talk about that later today. And we also need food. We need food. Do we get food from plants? We do. How many of you like apples? How many of you like watermelon? How many of you like strawberries? All of those come from plants. Now, some of us also get food from animals. How many of you like eggs? Where do they come from? They come from chickens. How many of you like hamburgers? Those come from cows. How many of you like cheese or milk or ice cream? All of those also come from cows too. So plants and animals give us some amazing things, and so we need to work hard to take care of them. So my friends, we are going to go to a garden, and we are going to look for a few living things that help us in the garden. So you ready? Let's go. So here we are at a garden, and we're going to look to see how plants and animals are important to people. So right here, I have some sweet potato plants growing. And the sweet potato, you know what part of the sweet potato you eat? you actually eat the root. So roots are important to people. We eat roots sometimes. And also over here, there are some radishes growing. They're very small right now, but whenever the radishes get a little bit bigger, we will eat the root of the radish too. So plants are important to people, and the roots can even be important to people. Let's go check out some more. So here we are at another plant. Do you know what type of plant this is? Do you see what vegetable is growing on this plant? I see a pepper. I see a pepper. I also see a flower too. The flower will turn into a new pepper plant. So we talked about this with our tomatoes, that tomatoes are a type of fruit and they grow from the flower. So peppers, they also grow from the flowers, and then we eat the fruit of the plant, even though we really call the peppers the vegetable, right? We call it a vegetable. And so we also eat the fruit though of plants. But let's go see another plant, and this plant we eat the leaves of them. So let's go. All right, here we are at another plant that's important to people. This is a mint plant, and ooh, it smells so good. Do you like mint? Sometimes I know kids think mint is a little bit spicy. I love mint. And this plant, we actually use the leaves, and we could just eat the leaves. We could also add it to a salad, or you could even make tea out of mint leaves. So leaves are so important to people too. Isn't that great? All right, so now we're going to go see some animals. So are you ready? Let's go check out the animals. Hi. Friends, look at these creatures. Do you know what they are? They're chickens. Aren't they really pretty? They're so cool. Look at them. Hi, chickens. And chickens are important to people in lots of different ways. One of the biggest things is that chickens lay eggs. They lay a lot of eggs. Do you like to eat eggs? Maybe you like scrambled eggs, or maybe you like to have a fried egg. Well, even if you don't like eggs, you know what? Things like cookies and cake and even ice cream, they all have eggs in them. So even if you don't like to just eat eggs for breakfast, eggs are still probably in a lot of treats that you like to eat. So chickens are really important. And also chickens can provide meat that we would eat maybe for lunch. So if you like to eat chicken nuggets or different things like that, even though it's a little sad to think about with our chickens here, meat that we eat does come from animals. So we've learned a lot of really cool things here in this garden, and let's go back to our classroom. All right, my friends, so we got to see firsthand how plants and animals help us. We got to see some chickens and also some cool plants in a garden. But now it's time to think like a scientist and research a bit more about how plants are helpful to humans. So we're going to read a book, and this book is called How Are Plants Helpful? It's by Kelley, MacAulay, and it's published by Crabtree Publishing Company. How are plants helpful? And once again, we have our table of contents up at the front, which will help us figure out where things are that we want to learn. Living things. People are living things. We need food, water, air, and shelter to stay alive. Shelter is what protects us from bad weather. Plants are living things too. Roots, stems, and leaves are parts of plants. Oh, we know that already. We've talked about it. Flowers and fruits are parts that make seeds. Seeds grow into new plants. Natural resources. Plants are natural resources. Natural resources are things that come from nature that people can use to meet their needs. Animals, water, and soil are also natural resources. We get many of the things we need to survive from plants and other parts of nature. We get food, shelter, and medicine from plants. Medicine helps us feel better when we are sick. Plants provide food. Food gives living things energy to grow and move. Plants make their own food. They make food in their leaves using sunlight, air, and water. All people and animals depend on plants for food. People eat plants. Animals eat plants too. Some people and animals also eat the animals that eat plants. That food chain that we've talked about before. Healthy foods. Plant foods are very healthy to eat. They provide people with energy and vitamins. Vitamins are things our bodies need in order to work properly. We use different parts of plants for food. When you crunch on a carrot or bite into a beet, you are eating plant roots. Did you know that? Did you know that a carrot is part of the plant's root? It grows underground. Grains, such as wheat, are plant seeds. So if you eat something made from wheat, you're eating something made from seeds. We use grains to make bread. You are loading up on leaves when you add lettuce and spinach to your salad. Those things look delicious. Parts of homes. Did you know that we use plants for parts of our home? People use materials from plants to build their homes. Wood is a hard material from trees. Wood can be used to build walls and floors and houses. It can also be used to make tables and chairs. In some places, houses are made of bamboo and other plants. Bamboo is a type of grass that has a hard, strong stem. And some of you might have some bamboo growing at your house. I know whenever I go walking, I sometimes see people that use bamboo kind of as like a fence almost to protect themselves. Natural fibers or natural fabrics. Did you know the clothes you are wearing could have come from plants? Did you know that? Cotton and other materials used for some clothing are made from plant fibers. Fibers are long strands of material. These fluffy fibers are growing on cotton plants. Cotton is soft and strong. Jeans and socks are clothes made from cotton. And can you think of an animal that gives us some material to make clothing? What about a sheep? What do sheep grow on their skin? They have wool, and farmers will shear the sheep, and then they'll use that wool to make clothing too. Sometimes it's a little scratchy. There are also worms that make silk, which is a very smooth, soft fabric. So sometimes we get our clothes from animals too. Plant medicines. People have used plants to make medicine for thousands of years. Berries from elderberry plants can be used to treat colds and flus. Ginger plants can treat upset stomachs. So here's ginger and elderberries. Do you take either ginger or elderberries whenever you're sick? You might. Some people put juice from aloe vera plants on cuts or sunburns. The juice can help skin heal. Plants can also make people sick though. Do not use plants as medicine unless a doctor tells you it's safe. So my friends, that's very important not to just go outside and start eating plants to see if they make you feel better, because there are some plants that can make you very sick. Clean air. People and animals need to breathe oxygen to stay alive. Oxygen is a part of the air. We get oxygen from plants. Did you know that? Plants take in a part of the air that we do not use called carbon dioxide. So my friends, whenever you breathe out, you're breathing out carbon dioxide. And whenever you breathe in, you're breathing in oxygen. And plants do the opposite. They pull in the carbon dioxide out of the air and they release oxygen. So they help us. They do the opposite that we do, so we can help each other. They use this air along with water and sunlight to make food. After making food, plants send oxygen back into the air. Plants all around. People use plants every day. Trees provide shade to help people keep cool. Wood from trees is used to make paper. So even if we didn't have trees, we wouldn't be able to read this book. Wood can also be burned to heat homes or cook food. Have you ever had a bonfire before? Or maybe just a fire in your backyard that you toasted marshmallows? You're using wood to burn that, right? Some of your favorite treats may also come from plants. Sugar is made from a plant called sugar cane. So if you like sugar, you have to think a plant for that. Maple syrup and maple candy is made from a liquid found in maple trees. Do you ever like to put maple syrup on your pancakes? If you do, you need to thank a tree. Helping plants. Plants give us so much. It is important that we do all we can to protect plants and other living things in nature. You can help by creating less waste and garbage. One easy way to help is to bring your lunch to school in a lunchbox instead of a paper or plastic bag. So one way that you can help the world and help plants and animals is by reusing things. Reusing. You can also recycle paper when you're done with it. Something that is recycled is used again to make something new. Recycling paper saves trees from being cut down to make new paper. And that's the end of this book. So this book told us how plants can help us, but we also talked a little bit about animals. We said that animals sometimes give us things to make clothing. And we also said that animals, earlier on, we said that animals give us food too. Now, food from plants is probably the healthiest food that we can eat, but food from animals is also important too. So if you like cheese or milk or hamburgers or chicken nuggets, those are all things that come from animals. So both plants and animals are very important to humans. So now that we know how important plants and animals are to us and how important the world is to us, we need to think about how can we take care of the earth. Now this book gave us some suggestions. Remember at the very end it said that we can reuse things. So this little boy is reusing his lunchbox. He's not bringing his lunch to school in a brown bag or like a plastic bag every day. He uses the same thing over and over. And also you can reuse things like water bottles. If you have a water cup, you can reuse this over and over instead of always getting a new plastic bottle from the store. Or something else you can do, you can recycle. And recycling means that we take old stuff and we turn it into new stuff. So whenever you recycle paper, you turn that old paper into new paper. And then that way we don't have to cut down trees, which helps, of course, helps the trees around us because they don't get cut down. So my friends, that is so important. We need to remember that even though plants and animals are helpful to us and important to us, we are important to plants and animals because we need to work to make their world cleaner and better. But unfortunately, sometimes people aren't doing that. Have you ever seen a picture like this before? This is just in the forest, like on a hill, and there's a ton of trash. What about this? This is on a beach, and there again is so much trash. Is that taking care of the world? No way. It is not taking care of the world. And we need to do better. We need to do better. Now, sometimes it's easy to look at pictures like this and to say, oh no, the earth is all dirty. What are we going to do? But you know what? Scientists don't do that. Scientists might feel frustrated about this, but then they say, I am going to solve this problem. I am going to come up with a solution to make the world a cleaner place to help the plants and animals around me. And do you know what those scientists are called? Scientists who design things to solve problems? They are called engineers. Engineers are the scientists who design things that help us have a better earth. It might make the earth cleaner. It might just make something easier, but engineers make the world a better place. They see problems and they solve them. So we're not going to read all of this book, but I wanted to read a few pages so that we can start to think like an engineer to try to solve the problem of a really dirty world. So this book is called Engineers Solve Problems. It's by Reagan Miller and Crystal Sikkens, and it's published by Crabtree Publishing Company, and they gave me permission to read this book. Says, imagine you are in the library. A book you really want to read is on the top shelf and you cannot reach it. What do you do? A, wait until you grow taller. That might take a while. B, wait by the shelf and hope that an adult comes by to help. Or C, make a plan to create something to solve your problem so you can safely reach your book. If you chose C, you are already thinking like an engineer. Engineers are people who use math, science, and creative thinking to design things to solve problems. To design is to make a plan for how something is made or built. Engineers solve many kinds of problems. Keep reading to find out what some of them are. What do you think of when you hear the word problem? Many people think that a problem is something bad. Engineers, however, are people who enjoy solving problems. In fact, engineers are professional problem solvers. An engineer might design a bridge so cars and trucks can cross a river. Right, and I'm going to go to the engineering design process, which is what engineers use to help them design. The engineering design process is a set of steps that engineers use as a guide to help them solve problems. The engineering design process helps engineers find the best solution or answer to a problem. So whenever we think about it, number one, we find a problem. We know what our problem is. It's too much trash. And we ask questions about the problem. Number two, we brainstorm solutions. Work with a group to come up with different ways to solve the problem. So maybe you can talk to someone at your house about how you might solve that problem. 3, plan and make a model. We're going to do that next. As a group, choose the best solution. Create a plan to make a model of the solution. Gather materials and make your model. And a model could be something that you build, but it also could be something that you draw. Today, we're just going to draw a model of our solution. Number 4, test and improve. Test your model. Record your results. Use the test results to help make your design better. Retest your improved design. So you need to see if it works and then make it better. And then number 5, communicate. Share your design with others. And that goes back to our very first lesson when we talked about how scientists share with the world what they've learned. And engineers do that too. They share with the world what they've learned. So my friends, we're going to use the steps in this to find a possible solution for picking up trash on both land and water. So get a piece of paper and see if you can work with me to design something that might pick up trash on either land or water. And as you do, talk about it with the people around you. So are you ready? Let's think like engineers and get started. All right, so I have my drawing surface here, and I'm going to start brainstorming and designing my model for what I think I could build to help pick up trash, both on land and also in the ocean. So I'm going to think of something that I already know that picks stuff up, maybe like a snowplow or a trash truck, things like that, because I know that I'm going to need a lot of space or a lot of something that's really big to hold all of that trash, because that's so much trash. So I'm going to draw just kind of a box for my vehicle. And I want it to have wheels, but I also want it to be able to go in the water. So I'm also going to have kind of a raft around the bottom because I want it to be able to go in land and also in water. So maybe I can even think in my head, these wheels would be pulled up and be able to go into the machine whenever it goes into the water. And then I also need a place for maybe somebody to sit. So I might even have the person sitting in here. This is kind of where the person sits, like in a car. So I'm just gonna have the person driving. Maybe I'll have here are their legs, and then their arms are grabbing that steering wheel. Okay, and they probably need a chair too. So there's the front of my car where the person sits. Now back here is going to be completely empty. I think I'm even going to erase that off the top, or maybe even kind of make a lid, because this is where all the trash is going to go. So I'm just going to kind of draw some stuff in there. Now I need to think about, though, how is it going to pick up the trash? What would be good to move a whole bunch of trash? Maybe a shovel. A shovel that can lift up and put it over on top, kind of like whenever the trash truck goes by and they pick up your garbage can and flip it over on top. So maybe I'm going to have an arm that comes out here, an arm that can move. So I'm going to put some little circles there to show that there are movable parts. And then here's my shovel right there that can pick up some trash. So I'm going to even draw just kind of some scribbles right here to show the trash. And maybe it can scoop it up and flip it back over there. But maybe I also want to have some other arms. So maybe I'm going to have an arm that comes out like this, and that can pick things up, kind of like that game if you've ever played at an arcade where there's a claw that comes down and grabs the toy in the machine. So maybe I want to have something like that just in case the shovel misses it. The arm can get it too. And you know what? I was also thinking maybe I need to have a different type of shovel too. Maybe I'll just kind of put it up here, or maybe I'll even have it down. I think I'm going to put it right up here, that I can replace the shovel arms, because if I'm getting water or trash out of the ocean, if I'm scooping up trash, will a bunch of water come with it? Yeah, so what would I need in that scooper so that the water falls out but the trash stays in? Maybe something with teeny tiny holes. So maybe, you know what, maybe I could just add it to this one and just put some teeny tiny little holes that would let the water drain out, but the trash would not be able to fall out. We don't want big holes so that the trash falls out. So I'm thinking that might be a good design, at least for right now. Now, I don't have all of the materials to really build this, but I do have some building materials at my house. Things like Legos, things like just sticks or craft materials that I bet I could try to build this using just the things I have around my house. But if you don't, you know what? This is a great start, because a lot of times scientists, they do just draw this and then they think about it a little bit more. So my friends, after you come up with your design, you can either choose to build it with real materials at your house, or maybe you can just share it with someone around you. Share it with a grown-up at your house, and maybe they can help you try to figure out what you could build, because it's pretty cool to take something on paper that you've designed on paper and then build it with real materials. But my friends, today we've learned two really important things. We've learned that plants and animals are very important to us. The earth is very important to us, and so we need to take care of the earth. And we also learned that there are scientists who do this all the time. Engineers solve problems. And there are engineers, I promise you, there are engineers out there, many of them, who are trying to solve the problem of all the trash in the world. So friends, think like a scientist this week. If you see a problem around you, don't get upset. Think like an engineer and see how you can solve that problem. My friends, I hope you have a great Halloween, and I will see you next week right here on Room 9. Bye!
Teaching in Room 9 is made possible with support of Bank of America, Dana Brown Charitable Trust, Emerson, and viewers like you.